Hi guys, it's Brenda. I haven't done a video in like 5 million years, but today I'm actually not gonna make a beauty video. It's more about like paranormal experiences because me and my sister have been like watching YouTube videos about everybody's paranormal experiences or weird experiences. So I wanted to do one about mine when I was little. I haven't had any like in such a long time. I've lived where I live right now for like 12 years, I think. So ever since I moved here, like nothing has really happened to me. It's happened when I lived in California. Now I live in Washington. But first happening, I think, was when we first moved to this new house. It was the very first house we ever like owned, or I think we rented it back then. It was in Lancaster, California, and it was like a 2-story house, really nice, and like this really nice neighborhood, and we like could literally walk to school, and it was like a nice town and everything. I think the first experience I had there was when me and my sister used to sleep, or we used to share a room together when we were little and lived in that house, and our like parents' room was like literally right next to us in like this triangle shaped hall, I guess. Like my sister's room, me and my sister's room was on this side, and my parents' room was on the other side, along with the bathroom here. And I remember my sister would always be scared to sleep in the room with me, even though I was there with her. She would always kind of refuse to sleep with me and rather sleep with my mom and my dad. So like my parents would let her, and I would stay in the room by myself. And I got used to this as time went on, and my mom would just tell me to pray and stuff if I ever got scared, which is what I usually would do, and I would be able to go to sleep like that. But there was one time when I was sleeping, and I was used to my parents checking in on me, so they would open the door and they would peek in and then go back out, and it was like a simple routine that they would do whenever they would get up to the bathroom, and it was just their thing. It was a parent thing. And there was one time that I was laying in my bed, and I heard the door open, so I pretended to go to sleep. I had my eyes closed, and I could feel that somebody was standing there, and I was like, oh, maybe it's my mom or my dad. So I didn't really mind it much until like a long time passed, because usually my parents, as I said, they would just peek in and then close the door, and I could see that it was them as they were leaving, because I would open one eye trying to be sneaky and stuff. But yeah, so this particular time I knew it wasn't my parents, because they stood there for like maybe 5 minutes and they weren't doing anything. Like I couldn't hear anything, like no breathing, nothing. I could just feel that the door was still open. I never heard it close. And I opened one of my eyes, and I could see there was somebody there. It was like a shadow. Couldn't particularly make out like a face or anything, but I knew somebody was there. And it was really weird to me, and I think I was pretty scared. But all I did was I prayed, and I closed my eyes again. And once I opened them again, there was nobody there, but the door remained open, which was really freaky. And then another incident in that house was me sitting down in front of the TV on the couch. There was this attic that, like, the kinds that you pull out and the stairs come out. We used to have one of those, and I remember when my dad would put things up there, like, he had a really hard time pulling it down. Like, he would really have to yank it down, and then the stairs wouldn't just pop out. You had to unfold them yourself. There was one time when I was watching TV, and out of nowhere, like, the attic door opens up and the stairs pop out. It was like the weirdest thing ever. Like, I ran to my mom, who was in the kitchen, and I told her, and what she made it out as was that it just opened by itself, which I thought was pretty that it couldn't really happen, because I've seen my dad and how he struggled to open that thing. So usually when I was at this age, I would brush things off, because I really didn't understand what was going on, but it was stuff that I knew couldn't happen on their own, and I was kind of creeped out. And I was just telling my sister this part yesterday. I didn't get to finish it, but right as you walked into the house, we had this stairway, and there was 2 rooms on each side, and then in the middle was a bathroom that was still being fixed. It had no flooring. It had just the wooden boards on it, and like a random toilet there. I came home one day. Me and my brother used to walk home from school. I came home one day. My brother went in first, and then me, and I was the one who was closing the door. And my brother like literally ran up to his room and like locked himself in there basically. And I was getting home because at this time I think my mom and my dad went somewhere because they were okay with leaving me with my older brother. So they went somewhere, and I was about to go to, I think, the living room to watch TV when I heard somebody say my name, and I was like, oh, it's probably my brother. And I went to where the stairs were, and I looked up, and there was somebody standing at the top of it, but like there's no windows or anything in that little area, so it was really dark up there, and I couldn't see, and I was like, what? And then they didn't say anything, and I was just staring, and I was calling out my brother's name. I was like, Luis, what do you want? And he didn't say anything, and I was like, okay. And I kind of just thought he was like messing around with me because I literally thought that was him. And then as I was leaving, he comes down the stairs, but I heard the door just open. So like he just got out of the room, and I thought that was pretty weird because he came down, and I was like, what did you want? And he's like, what are you talking about? I was like, you were standing on top and you were calling my name. He's like, no, I wasn't. And that part freaked me out a little bit. At this point, a couple weeks passed by. I think is when my brother, his friend gave him a dog. We had this, like, I think it was a German Shepherd, who we ended up having for like a little bit until, like, I think it ran away because the fence was open. But we had this dog, and like as soon as we had the dog, like I felt, I guess, protected in a way, and nothing else happened. And then soon after a while, we moved out of there. Not sure why, but we moved somewhere else in California, and so that was one of my few experiences there. We didn't live there for a long time, so which was good because all the strange happenings were not my favorite thing in the world. And I have a few stories about not my personal experiences, but family members. For example, my brother, the one I was talking about earlier, Luis, he used to live in Mexico with my mom and then some of his family members, because he's my stepbrother. Some of his family members over there in Mexico, they used to live in a house before I was born, and he would tell me that he would watch these like Tales of the Grave or something like that. I'm not exactly sure what it's called anymore. It's just like, he told me it was like a really, really long time ago. Or like Creepers. Creep Show. It's of this like skeleton dude, and he like tells all these tales. I'm not sure if anybody knows, but if you know, let me know what it's called, because I can't remember for shit. But anyways, he used to watch those all the time, and for this experience that he told me, I was like maybe it was his imagination because he was younger and he did watch this show often, and maybe he like scared himself because he was home alone and he just like got the creeps and he imagined it. But he was telling me that he was pretty sure that this was real, because he said that he was by himself in the house. It was like a really big house in Mexico, and like with like these huge stairs, and they had like a big living room, and they had like a rocking chair that was, just there. And my brother was telling me that he was home alone, and he was watching this show in particular that night, and he went to go downstairs to get something to drink in the kitchen, so he had to pass by the living room and then to go to the kitchen. And so he was coming down, and he could see that the chair was rocking back and forth, and he thought that was pretty weird. So then he said that he got closer and he saw like the top of somebody's head, So he got freaked out and he like went back up halfway up the stairs until he saw that whoever was sitting in the rocking chair stopped rocking, so he kind of got like stopped in his tracks. And he said that once they like turned around, he saw that it was the person from that one show. And it's kind of yeah. Here, my sister has a picture.
Called Tales from the Crypt.
Tales of the Crypt?
Tales from the Crypt.
Yeah. My sister got it from me. That's what it's called. Anyways, he saw that person in the rocking chair, which I think I would have pissed myself. But, yeah, so he was telling me that, and I was like, oh my god, it's the scariest thing in the world. He used to tell us these scary stories all the time when we were little. We lived in these apartments in California. He would freak us out. Like, I would always think that he was just messing around with us to like scare us, but he says these are his actual experiences. As well as when him and his brothers were playing soccer, there was this abandoned house right next to the house that they lived in, the one I was talking about earlier. And he said that the ball rolled over to where the house was, and none of them wanted to get it, so they told police to go do it. And he was like, whatever. He's like, I'm not scared. And he went to go do it, and it landed right next to this like gauged hole that was in the basement area of the house. And as he was getting the ball, like he saw somebody's like eye come up to the hole like this, and then like go away. And he like grabbed the ball, and he like ran as fast as he could. He told his brothers. His brothers didn't believe him. They were like, oh, you're just trying to scare us, whatever. But I thought that was pretty scary as well. I wish I had other personal experience, but I don't. I don't wish I had more personal experiences, because it's not something fun to go through. And the few times that I did go through it, I was little, so I don't think it affected me as much because I didn't exactly understand.
What about the horse one?
What?
The horse one.
Oh, that one's on my mom's family. That was a good one. I tell this to my friends every time that we're in the car and stuff, because it's like a traveling story. This was my mom's, I think it was her uncle, and they were in Mexico. Mexico has like those really long dirt roads, like covered in woods, kind of like we have here in Washington. It's like dirt roads covered in woods on both sides, so it's just like a really long road, and it just goes on for miles and miles. And my mom's uncle was riding a horse, and because it's Mexico, he was riding a horse, and he was going through that dirt path, and he's like, oh, I'm gonna take a shortcut like he always usually did to go to my mom's grandma, my great grandma's home. He took a shortcut through the woods. He cut through the woods, and there's a waterfall that he passes by all the time that leads, like, if you keep going, like, it leads to my great grandma's great grandma to her house. So he took that path because, I mean, this was at nighttime. He usually would always take it during the day. I think this was his first experience in the night, because he came home late. He was like, whatever, he didn't really think about it. He was on the horse, and he saw this lady in the waterfall, like the river area. She was bathing, and he thought it was weird because it was in the middle of the night. Well, who does that? He got off his horse, and he went up to the lady to talk to her, and he's like, are you alright? He's like, why are you out here so late? Like, basically just like trying to figure out why she was out here. And she didn't say anything to him, but then he offered her a ride to where he was going, or I think he offered her a ride home. He's like, if you want, I can take you. And she just nodded her head. And I was like, at this point when Mom was telling me the story, I was like, if somebody doesn't talk to you, I wouldn't even have come up to, I would just laugh. But yeah, he put her up on his horse, and his horse started freaking out. He was just telling me that his horse was like rising up, and then like his horse basically like shooted off with the both of them on top, and he was trying to calm the horse down. The horse wouldn't calm down, and by the time they got to the house, he couldn't feel her anymore, and he thought that maybe she fell off or something. But he went, like, his horse, as soon as he got off, his horse ran off to the stable. He was so freaked out. And I think at this point my uncle, or my mom's uncle, realized that this was not a person, that this had been like a ghost or something. And he was so freaked out, he went inside the house to see my great grandma, and he told her everything, and then she's like, yeah, you basically just rode on your horse with a ghost. And she was trying to comfort him because he was terrified, and he didn't, and she's like, don't go through there again at night, because she's always there. Apparently my great grandma knows some story about her, which I'm not familiar with. But yeah, that's the story about that one, and that's probably one of my favorite stories that my mom has ever told me from her family, because it's such a fun thing to tell when me and my friends are in the car in the middle of the night. I've told this various times, because if it's just two of us in the front, I always get my passenger to look in the back, because they always like get freaked out. Even though it wasn't in a car, it was in a horse, but still, it's fun. And telling these paranormal stories when you're not by yourself, because my sister's here, is a lot more fun because I don't get freaked out by myself. Yeah, anyways, this is some of the personal experiences and from other family members of paranormal stuff. And I'm going to stop here because the video got really, really long. But you can go on and on and on talking about paranormal experiences. It's really fun. But yeah, guys, thanks for watching. Give it a thumbs up and comment below what you think, and give me some of your stories, because I would love to read them. And yeah, see you guys next time. Bye.